So early morning, just about to hit the gym. I want to say this before I start this video. As you notice, I don't really show any women on this video or any of that goofiness these other content creators do. Because in my opinion, any man that's doesn't feel complete in his own company suffers from the disease of low self-esteem. So I deal with the virus on this channel, which is how you feel about yourself. Before you can even integrate a woman into your life, what is your core belief system? How do you feel about yourself? When you're alone and nobody's around in a room, if you're alone in the wilderness for a week, what type of things go through your head, go through your mind? So I'm more from the perspective of indifference, but I start with the foundation of masculinity, manhood, and male self-esteem, which is about how you value yourself, your purpose on this earth, and your belief systems. And then we can graduate to doing some things in terms of, your own self-development, money, relationships with other people, friends, family, women, whatever else. Because any foundation that's developed of this programmed codependency or this emotional imbalance that exists in men is bound for failure. You're going to fail. So that's why I have a big problem with a lot of these game coaches out here and these guys that are flexing money, flexing all this goofy shit on the internet. I drive a vehicle from 2012. I'm not going to be out here because, again, if you're flexing hardcore money and women and all that stuff, you're still suffering from the disease of low self-esteem. And your value and your worth is defined by money and women. You still have a defective mindset and you're still being programmed by the culture. So what I want to do is get into this talk about traveling. Traveling and whatever you do with yourself is about enjoying your peace in life. Especially for you guys, you want to get away from, man-hating culture. All you do is turn off your phone if you really want to. But sometimes it's about escaping this dysfunctional, toxic, man-hating culture that we live in, existing in the West. This overly feminized culture. Even the men, some of the men are overly feminized men. Just getting away from them. And that's why I enjoy traveling. So when you see me, you see me in places where other dudes don't go, especially dudes that label themselves as certain things. Like, I love the brothers that travel. I respect and love all of them. But sometimes I go into places like Vientiane, Laos, or Ben Con Laon out there in Isan up there, whatever else. You don't see me hanging out in bars. I would go visit the brothers or the guys every once in a while, say what's up. But I don't be hanging. I be hanging out, trying to get to the elephant sanctuary, or, if I go out somewhere, I'm in rural Thailand, way up there in the mountains, or, Isan, the Khon Phanom, all these places, Udon Thani. I don't want to be anywhere around any goofy shit, period. If I wanted to do that, I would go to Las Vegas. If I wanted to hang around 304s all day long, I'd be hanging out in Vegas. Cheaper, less expensive. There's 304s everywhere around here. There's hoes everywhere. Boxes being sold everywhere. America is the capital of prostitution. You don't have to go anywhere for that shit. So I go somewhere and I travel. I enjoy the sights, the scenery. You see me at Putak, Pulanka, all these temples, all these places. I have to go through Africa. I have to check out Kenya. I definitely want to check out Nairobi. I definitely want to do. So there's a lot of places and a lot of things I like to do. But more importantly, what brings me the greatest peace is when I travel. This is why I encourage men to be more so global citizens and enjoy the beauty of travel and what travel brings you. That peace of mind, that joy, that exploration, that education, that knowledge, that wisdom, and like I said, this conversation about women are just women. Women, except for the rules, the culture, and the enforcement of that culture. The rules, the culture, the enforcement of that culture, the mindset and the programming. Except for those things, women, female nature, unchecked, would be the same everywhere in the world. So women in the world, you're not going to, if if you are if you are a dude that have low self-esteem and you're a simp, you're going to get cooked globally. You're going to be cooked in Thailand, you're going to be cooked in South America, you're going to be cooked in Japan, China, anywhere else. If you're a guy that has low self-esteem and cannot set boundaries with women, or you're not indifferent, or you haven't developed yourself as a man, and you validate yourself through women, you're going to get cooked everywhere on the globe because you are incomplete as a man. And you're going to have many, many problems. So why not just focus on building your own self, your own self-esteem, and becoming complete as a man, and then you can introduce other things, global travel, things that matter to you, and things that have meaning in your life. Now you can really get out here and enjoy life. So that's why I don't really bring women into this channel. And I really don't want to get on these panels either and have a conversation about nonsense. Let these wild horses run free, period. That's my philosophy. I'm indifferent. I love the ladies, I love the fellas, I love everybody, but at the same time, I'm indifferent. And I already understand the outcomes for relationships is going to get even worse. We have a high rate of people that are going to be single going forward in the future. We've already seen the economic challenges that have happened every day I see the repo guy flying out all over the place. People are getting their cars taken away. Inflation is a huge problem. Right now, we're only having a certain conversation because of the cost of living, because of inflation. There's really no genuine desire, especially by women, to really get into relationship or partner with men. They're really looking for, the only reason why many of these women, were not even raised to be wives, the only reason why they're talking to men now is because of inflation. Really. They really don't like most of you dudes to like any of you dudes. Unless you're going to be a simp rescue plan or any of that stuff. Most men, for these women, if you look at their history, if they haven't been married before they're 30, you look at the guys they've dated before, you're just basically, if you're a guy, you're basically just getting the leftovers, to be honest with you. They have no desire to be with you or under your leadership. They have desire to get sponsored or get that money from you, but that's about it. They're just not attracted to you. Let's just be honest. If they were attracted to good men or quality men, they would have got one in their early 20s. But they're busy out here chasing social media, trying to make money, getting flown out. They're not interested in no basic, regular guy. Most of us are average. All of us, I consider myself as a regular, average guy. Those was a basic. Most women are basic and average, but social media delusion props them up. But the reality is this: they're not really. And anybody who's smart, have some self-esteem, understand that these are desperate times. Inflation, cost of living, money. Those are factors that are bringing a certain type of women to the table. It's just an economic decision. Because they were never raised to be anything other than self-serving, most of them. So I don't encourage men to get their minds wrapped up in women that are not the 5% women. If the woman is not a 5%er, because 95% of them are not even raised to be anything other than selfish and self-centered. So you're not dealing, only the 5% women really is worth anybody's mental energy or any type of commitment of any mindset, any type of commitment of anything is only the 5% women. So no matter what they say on these panels or whatever else, this is just a regurgitated, goofy conversation that goes in a circle. There's no victory at the end of the rainbow for men in terms of getting in these types of relationship, except for the 5% woman. The majority of them are just, especially the way how the sexual revolution has evolved, the majority of them is just out here getting ran through because they're not celibate, and unless they try to do that rebranding at the church or Christianity or anything else like that. They try to rebrand that box and put it back on the market as new. That's going on all the time. The religious grift is big. Obviously they're trying to get themselves a sponsor Because if they really were traditional or Christian or whatever, it's selective Christianity, obviously. They would have been married when they were young. They would have been married when they were virgins. They would have been married a long time ago. If they really were believers in anything, well, people change and people change. People can change all they want, but that doesn't mean you haven't been ran through and that the product has still been battered and abused and misused. So the guy is still taking an L because 9 times out of 10, the guy that's going to get the woman is getting what's left over. It's getting what the market has absolutely destroyed. And now you're getting to clean up. You deal with all the trauma and all the mental illness that comes from dealing with many of these women, because being passed around like Skittles creates mental illness. Women are not meant to be passed around like a bag of Skittles. It's just the way it is. You know, it is what it is. So when you're dealing with this particular culture and the particular mindset, and I watch all these panels and whatever else, it's a conversation with men talking to ran through women that have been enjoyed sexual liberation, that have been out here and ran through, trying to market this marriage and long-term relationship, talking about provider man and whatever else. So you're going to be a provider man for a woman that's been out here on the sexual marketplace for 10, 15, 20 years and pay 100% of the bills. She's never been raised to be a wife, has been, pretty much, where's the used model discount? Never mind. Let me don't go into that down that road. But anyhow, that's where we are. But global travel, your own self-development, enjoying life. I'm indifferent. And one of the things I enjoy about bachelor life, like I live now, is the absolute freedom that I have. The absolute freedom to enjoy life on my own terms. And be honest with you, it feels great, especially when you understand, when you can put all your resources into your own life and wake up every day, and every decision and every power, everything that you do benefits your life. I mean, it's just an absolute. This morning, if I wake up and I decide I want to buy me a Benz and everything else I want to do in my life, I don't have to consult anybody. It is the most beautiful freedom there is. But I'm talking from a guy who's 50 years old, that's have a lot of life experience, that's been married, that have raised kids, that have done all these things in life. I mean, for the younger guys, it's a different experience. You can't really appreciate the bachelor life because you have no lived experience. I have lived experience. So for the younger guys, it's a different situation, which is they have the opportunity to get the 5% woman. A younger guy just has to do the proper vetting process or really appreciate global travel. Global travel, not for the purpose of consuming 304s. I mean, it gets 304s everywhere, a dime a dozen. Yeah, but just to really discover yourself as a man. And, you have all the education out here. If you want to vet a woman, so if you pick a 5% woman to build a family, whatever else. There are women out here, good women out here, but you're not going to find many of them in the environment. You'll find box. It's copious amounts of box. I mean, they literally get on the internet advertising it and selling it every day, unfortunately. But in terms of really having that good experience, I encourage men just to enjoy global travel and get away from this man-hating, toxic culture and listening to some of these masculine, combative women on these panels and watching YouTube. It just sometimes you just turn that toxic energy off and you really, 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 really kind of enjoy your peace. No point in raising your cortisol level. Listen to that garbage. Because at the end of the day, ain't nobody trying to get in no relationship. Unless you're a crazy man. Who would want to get in a relationship with these masculine, feminist women who hate men, but only really are talking to men because they want money, they're broke, they're afraid of the cuts in programs, they have no desire to add value to your life. They're basically saying, okay, I will give up on my feminism for a little bit just for some money and support because shit is expensive. That's really what they're saying. They care less about you or listening to you or falling into your leadership. That idea of responsibility and obligations without authority, that's all they're really selling to you. Good luck with that. That's responsibility without authority is slavery, because they have no desire to listen. I don't care if you pay 100% of the bills, 50% of the bills. It doesn't matter what you pay. They're not going to listen to you, period. You know, the male lion cannot lead the hyena. I don't always say guys are just all these dating coaches and all these dudes talking this stupid shit on the internet. The male lion cannot lead the hyena. Get that through your thick head. All these goofy content creators out here trying to encourage men to sign up for torture. Male lion cannot lead the hyena. Period. They're just not designed to be under your leadership. Anyhow, with that being said, I'm going to hit this gym. I'm out, guys. Enjoy your day. Peace and blessings to you guys. Make sure you guys hit the like button. Share the content. This is a men's channel, period. The content I make is towards men. I focus on male self-esteem. I really don't, without that, any conversation about women is moot. Anyhow, I'm out. Peace and blessings.